I'll be happy. My wife will be happy. My children will be happy. Because for the past 10 years, all my domestic staffs, not Omodo, but guards, have come from Chibok area. And one of them is Abraham, whom I have been searching for a long time, and who happened to appear at my residence after 4 or 5 weeks of looking for him. And I have to take him to church, and I have to speak to the 2 congregations that I have at 8 and at 10, telling them about the horrors of Chibok and its environment. To the extent that he said, when these people come with motorcycles, it indicates they are coming for the men. And when they come with cars, it indicates they are coming for the mothers and the children. For several weeks, his wife and children were lost in the forest until recently when they reconnected again. So if they are released on Monday, Abraham will be happy. Abraham's cousins who had worked with me will be happy. Abraham's wife and children will be happy. The whole nation will be happy. But if it fails, I'll be honest with you, it's not new. Because when 2 communities at war fight one another,
I'm sorry to say, these are not 2 communities.
Let me just use my word. I have my reason.
People.
Clarification of term. Yes. The Nigerian community at war with a part of its own community at this very instance. You know, there are a few things that we missed out when our sister was speaking. When these people came in the midnight to pick up these girls, where were members of our armed forces? Don't forget that our borders are porous in Nigeria. So it's not just about our girls from Chibok alone. It's about the porosity of our territories. From Idiroko, where Ota is very close to Abeokuta and other Hensewe, our borders are porous. So these people pass through our porous borders, where our security personnel, where our members of the immigration department, where are members of the police force. Don't forget that it's so easy to negotiate your way through all these borders in Nigeria. Just have your hands full with money, and they will speak on your behalf.
Okay. I'm really sorry because of time, because I'm being rushed by my producers. Let's just say that you've answered the first side of the question. The other side is, if it happens that on Monday they're not released, what will be your thought?
2
Very
things,
quickly, because
2
we have to wrap
things.
up.
We keep on praying.
Okay.
The second, we'll still have to talk to one another and hope
Carry on
and
the campaign.
put pressure on government to be responsive to ensure that none of our citizens are wasted.
Okay. Let me come to Akin. Sorry, I'm really sorry. I just wanted to
just before you raise it, there is something on Twitter now described as an exclusive that the Chibok girls are going to be released in batches. So we all shouldn't expect 210 girls to walk out and be with us on Monday.
And there's a carrot and
Is
stick
that coming
situation.
From
where?
It's an exclusive from, well, I'm not going to tell you his name.
Okay.
But he's a journalist.
He's a journalist.
Yes.
Okay. Now, let me ask Akin Oshintokun then, based on what Very Reverend Akindikwe has just said, what will be your thought if the girls are not released on Monday?
Yeah, I will be disappointed. Extremely disappointed. And we just, as part of the complexity that has characterized the evolution of the crisis itself. But there is a truce. They have declared that there is a truce that Nigeria had publicly stated that they are committed to. So what purpose would that truce serve if the guests are not released? That's a question that will be begging for answer.
Okay, for a final word then, let me ask you, Very Reverend Akindikwe mentioned the fact that we have to continue to pray, one, but the key thing for me from what he said is put pressure on government. You as a father, would you be putting pressure on PDP and on the government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to work harder to get the girls back?
I would think very lowly of the government if it needs pressure to do what everybody thinks it should.
But every government got to have some amount of pressure, don't they?
Well, not at this stage. Not at this stage. there is so much pressure has been given that I don't know what more pressure anybody can give at this stage. I will personally feel, well, as I said, look, I assume that the government is doing its best to do. Maybe the best is not good enough. You cannot criticize a man to give what he doesn't have. If the best is not
implying that the best of the government...
No, wait. Look, if it was within the capacity of the government in the first instance to have gotten them released before now, I think the government would have done it.
No, we should not forget, government lived in denial for days before acknowledging.
I don't interrupt you, please. Don't interrupt my train of thought, please. Right? And I remember I mentioned what Professor Soyinka said. Look, there is no shame. There is nothing. It's not something bad if you are not sufficiently equipped to deal with a situation. There is no shame in that. Look, international terrorism is not. Look, America, Benghazi. You saw what happened to the ambassador. It's not something to be ashamed of. That look, presently I don't have the capacity to deal with this situation. That is not government's inefficiency.
So is that an acknowledgement that this government hasn't got the capacity to deal with Boko Haram? Is that your thought?
Yeah, up till now, yes. That is up till now. So until the insurgency is brought to an end, right? That is the reality, not what I think. So, until you are able to finally bring it to rest, that is government capacity. You don't interpret it in terms of how you can militarily subdue them, since you are engaged in a warfare with them, or the right. So it's not a question of whether somebody has a capacity or not. If Boko Haram was able to access Tomahawk missile and threw it at Nigeria, of course that is a superior weaponry over anything you can have. Okay. So that's where we talk of the question of capacity or incapacity.
Okay, because of time, final word from Oby Ezekwesili. What's your thought? Where do we go from here? What's your expectation come Monday?
Come Monday, what we want to be able to see are the girls. We want to see that these girls are coming out according to the statement that we heard. We want to see these girls being reunited with their families. And we want to see our president lead the entire nation into a common group of people, united under one canopy, and basically saying that the dignity of life is the fulcrum on which everything, relationship in our society is organized. That a person like a Hadiza Bala Usman is a member of a political party must not matter. When she as a mother says empathy is something I must give, I must connect myself to the problems of the other person. Politics is absolutely of no value to us if it is this hideous type of politics. We must forget anything about our primordial inklings, whether it is religion, it is like your political persuasion, your ethnic group, your language. It shouldn't matter when human life is involved. The dignity of human life must be the basis of our engagement with amongst ourselves and with those that govern us. And I just want to hold out to everyone that bring back our girls is a symbol of the fact that Nigerians, regardless of their persuasion, can come together under one umbrella and basically say there's a shared bond of humanity that must be preserved, whether for a child of the rich or for a child of the poor. And that's what we're going to keep doing until the girls are brought back alive.
Okay, thank you very much. On that note, we'll have to wrap it up. Shared bond for all Nigerians to say, child of the rich or poor, child of a northerner or southerner, no matter where you come from, no matter what you do, let's all come together to say, bring back our girls. On that note, we want to say thank you to Dr. Oby Ezekwesili, who's one of the conveners of Bring Back Our Girls campaign group and former Minister of Education. Thank you very much for being on the show. And also Akin Oshintokun, who's a former presidential spokesman and a parent as well. Akin Oshintokun, thank you very much for coming.
You're welcome.
And also finally, very Reverend Sholama Kindikwe, who's a concerned parent and minister in charge Zion Methodist Church. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, and good morning again.
So, that will be the end of the conversation on this platform. Conversation continues on Television's handle, on Twitter, on our Facebook. Of course, we'll be expecting that your comments will come there and we will share them with all Nigerians and the rest of the world, because everybody's watching Nigeria about how we handle this, and it will be a defining moment over the next few days. We'll take a short break. When we come back, another conversation continues. So please grab yourself a cup of tea or whatever you like to drink and join us again.